The day started like any other, with the sun barely peeking over the horizon. But for Elvis Presley, it was about to get a lot wilder. It was December 1964, and the world was buzzing with the news that Elvis, the king of rock and roll, had just wrapped up filming his latest movie, Roustabout. The critics, however, were not as enthusiastic as his fans. In the pages of the monthly film bulletin, a reviewer wrote, "Roustabout was just another in a long line of forgettable Elvis flicks." But that didn't stop the fans from flocking to the theaters. Elvis was still the king, and his movies were a must-see event. Meanwhile, in a scholarly journal called The American Scholar, Mark Feeney took a deeper dive into Elvis's film career. He pointed out that while Elvis's movies might not have been artistic masterpieces, they were a reflection of the times and the man himself. Feeney believed that Elvis's films were a unique blend of music, romance, and adventure, catering to the tastes of his loyal fan base. But behind the scenes, things were more complicated. Keith Flynn, a dedicated Elvis enthusiast, had meticulously documented every recording session Elvis had ever done. On March 3, 1964, Elvis spent the day in the studio, laying down tracks that would eventually appear on his album Roustabout. Flynn's website, a treasure trove of information for Elvis fans, revealed the painstaking effort Elvis put into his music, even when he was juggling a demanding film schedule. The music industry was also taking notice. In Billboard magazine, a singles review from February 20, 1965, praised Elvis's latest release, calling it a must-buy for any fan of rock and roll. The song Roustabout was a catchy tune that perfectly captured the energy of Elvis's performances. But it wasn't just the music that was making headlines. In Writing for the King, a book by Chris Sharp, the author delved into the business side of Elvis's career. Sharp revealed that Elvis's financial take from his movies had soared, making him one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. The film Girl Happy, released in 1965, was a prime example of how Elvis's movies were not only entertaining, but also profitable. The New York Times also chimed in with a review by H.H.T., describing Girl Happy as a return to form for Elvis. The film, which saw Elvis playing a charming boat captain, was a hit with audiences. The review highlighted Elvis's charisma and the catchy soundtrack, which included the popular song Girl Happy. Variety, a leading entertainment industry publication, was equally positive. In an article by Army Archerd, the writer noted that Elvis's movies were not just about the music, they were about the star himself. Archerd described Elvis as a force of nature, whose presence on screen was magnetic and undeniable. Elvis's popularity wasn't just limited to the United States. In the UK, the monthly film bulletin reviewed Tickle Me, another Elvis film, and praised it for its lightheartedness and the star's undeniable charm. The review suggested that even in a different market, Elvis's appeal was universal, but not everyone was a fan. In the Times, Richard Williams wrote a more critical piece, describing Elvis as a force of nature, but questioning whether his movies were doing him justice. Williams argued that Elvis's talents were being wasted on formulaic plots and lackluster scripts. Despite the mixed reviews, Elvis's impact on the entertainment industry was undeniable. In Variety, Thomas M. Pryor wrote about Elvis's bail out of Allied Artists, a struggling studio. Pryor described how Elvis's popularity and box office draw had saved the studio from financial ruin, highlighting the star's business acumen. The year 1965 was a busy one for Elvis. He starred in Haramskaram, a film that took him to exotic locations and provided more material for his fans. The Schenectady Gazette praised Elvis's performance, calling the movie fun and entertaining. The film's success further cemented Elvis's status as a box office sensation. But it wasn't just the movies that kept Elvis in the spotlight. His music continued to top the charts. In Billboard, a review of his album, Paradise Hawaiian Style, noted the lush arrangements and the tropical vibe of the songs. The album was a commercial success, and it showcased Elvis's versatility as an artist. The New York Times also reviewed Paradise Hawaiian Style, with Howard Thompson describing the film as a paradise for Elvis fans. The movie, set in Hawaii, featured stunning locations and a soundtrack that was as enchanting as the scenery. As the 1960s progressed, Elvis's image began to evolve. He was no longer just the rebellious rock and roller. He was a mature artist with a growing fan base. In Variety, a review of Double Trouble noted that the film was typical of Elvis's work, but it also showed a more grown-up side of the star. The reviewer Carol David praised Elvis's performance and the film's humor, but not everyone was convinced. In the Detroit Free Press, Lorraine Alterman called Double Trouble a real moaner, suggesting that Elvis's movies were starting to show their age. Despite the criticism, Elvis's fans remained loyal, and his box office numbers continued to climb. Elvis's influence extended beyond the movies and music. He was a cultural icon, and his presence was felt in every corner of the entertainment industry. In The Times, John Russell Taylor wrote about the fundamental things in film, and Elvis was one of those fundamental things. Taylor described Elvis as a phenomenon, whose impact on popular culture was immeasurable. As the 1960s drew to a close, Elvis was preparing for a new chapter in his career. He was planning a return to live performances, and the anticipation was building. In Variety, Vernon Scott wrote about Elvis's plans for a special program, hinting at a new direction for the king of rock and roll. The world was changing, but Elvis remained a constant. His music, his movies, and his presence continued to captivate audiences, and his legacy was only beginning to take shape. The next few years would be filled with more challenges and triumphs, but for now Elvis was still the king and the world was his stage. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, left a trail of music, movies, and memories that continue to captivate people around the world. His journey from a humble beginning in Tupelo, Mississippi, to becoming a global icon is a story of passion, talent, and sometimes struggle. In 1970, Elvis was still a powerhouse performer, drawing massive crowds and breaking records. His concerts at the Forum in Los Angeles were a testament to his enduring popularity, grossing over $300,000. Critics and fans alike marveled at his energy and the way he could command a stage. But as the years went on, Elvis faced new challenges. His health began to decline, and his performances sometimes reflected this. Some critics noted that his once robust voice and dynamic stage presence were changing, and there were concerns about his weight and overall well-being. Despite these challenges, Elvis continued to release music and tour. In the early 1970s, he recorded albums like Elvis, That's the Way It Is, and Elvis in Person at the International Hotel, which showcased his evolving style. He experimented with different genres, blending rock, gospel, and even country, and his live performances were still packed with fans who loved him unconditionally. One of his most memorable moments was the Aloha from Hawaii concert in 1973, broadcast via satellite to over 1 billion viewers worldwide. It was a grand event that solidified his status as a global superstar. However, even as he reached new heights, there were signs of the strain. Elvis was known to be a perfectionist, and the pressure of maintaining his image and performance standards took a toll on his health. By the mid-1970s, Elvis was facing significant health issues. He was hospitalized several times, and his weight fluctuations became a topic of public discussion. Some fans and critics were concerned, but many remained loyal, defending him against negative comments. Despite the challenges, Elvis continued to perform, and his concerts still drew large crowds. He was a legend, and people wanted to see him one last time. In his final years, Elvis recorded albums like From Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee, and Moody Blue, which were well received by fans. He continued to tour, performing in cities across the United States. His last concert was on June 26, 1977, in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was a bittersweet moment, as many fans could sense that something was different. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley was found dead at his home, Graceland, in Memphis, Tennessee. He was just 42 years old. The news sent shockwaves around the world, and fans mourned the loss of a true icon. Elvis's legacy, however, lived on. His music continued to inspire new generations, and Graceland became a pilgrimage site for fans from all over the globe. Elvis Presley's life was a roller coaster of triumphs and challenges, but his impact on music and popular culture is undeniable. He changed the face of rock and roll, and his influence can be heard in the music of countless artists today. The king may be gone, but his music and his spirit continue to live on in the hearts of millions.